Hi everybody, happy Friday! It's a bit of a slow day, although Scuba's out. We're having our watch along tomorrow. The reason we're doing it tomorrow is that a number of you said that it was easier for you to be able to, Rodolfo was just watching it. It would be easier for you guys to be able to watch it on the weekend. So it's tomorrow, same actually at this time at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to have a great time watching it. I can't wait! But I owed you a stream this week, and so it's a slow news day. I'm planning some really fun videos for you, and I want to get a jump on editing them, so that's why I'm holding the stream a little bit earlier at 3 o'clock instead of the usual 4. So I thought we'd have a conversation about what's going on with coronavirus and Hollywood. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. It's an ever-evolving situation. Some places are starting to open back up, especially overseas, where I know a lot of you are. So I thought we could discuss it, and you can ask me your questions. You can also share your own personal situations. But anyway, we'll have a fun time today. So first off, while we just kind of warm up, where's everybody watching from today? Where are you? Hey, welcome back to Movie Lover. Where's everybody streaming from today? Just a little warm up there. That's very nice of you to say, Ari. I'm so happy to hear that. Yes, Evan, I moved it up today. Today it's a little bit earlier so I can get a jump on my editing. Mex Bear is enjoying the Mexican weather with no AC. Oh, that's lovely. It's beautiful here in New York, but I can't go out. Spencer says hello from Boston. Let's see here. Karen's in hot and sunny Maryland. Craig is in the bed in UK with his cat George. I love it. Mai is in Argentina. Daniil, who just joined, is in Cape Town, South Africa. Hey, Scott. Let's see here. Eric is in sunny California today. James is watching from his bedroom in London. Barnaby Tuckman. What a cool name. Thank you for joining. Let's see here. Maria is in the Philadelphia area in the 80s. Yeah, it's getting warm. It's getting harder to be in your apartment. Bethany says, quarantine while working from home in my apartment in Chicago. Yep, we're all at home. Renee says, afternoon, Grace. It's very nice to see you. Let's see here. Evan is summer job hunting in Ohio. Be careful. Pick something where you don't have to see too many people. Chris is also in New York City trying to catch up on college papers. Waffles is trying to think of something to say on Long Island. That's very funny. Nuno is in rainy Portugal. Thomas is patiently waiting for WandaVision. I'm glad you're patient because it's going to be a while. Zachary's in Minneapolis. LG is playing some games in Brazil. Oh, that's great. Spencer said, just watch Scoob because I couldn't wait. I'm excited to watch again tomorrow. No problem. I'm watching it for the second time tomorrow, too. I watched it on Wednesday so I could review it, and I really had a good time, as you can see from my review. Tyler said, just finished my Zoom meeting. Perfect timing. All right, so we'll talk till 3:30. That's 25 minutes. You can ask me anything that you'd like, but the theme today is coronavirus and Hollywood. So we'll see if you have a question about that, go ahead and ask away. Let's see here. Survivor Red says, how do you think quarantine is affecting the screenwriting process? Well, I think, in fact, it's probably getting a lot of screenplays done, to be honest with you. I think that there's a lot of people who are, that's the easiest thing that's something you can do by yourself, or if you're collaborating with someone, it's easy to do remotely. So I think this is a boon for screenwriting. I mean, obviously, they've been having some problems with the Writers Guild, but I think you're probably getting a lot of writing done right now. So that'll mean they can just get to production even faster when they're able to do that. Evan said, what are your Oscar predictions amid all this? Hey, BJ, thanks for joining. That's a great question. I think the Oscars are going to have a hard time. Da 5 Bloods, the Spike Lee joint for Netflix, has a trailer debuting on Monday. I think that it's a difficult situation. I think that we're going to have to see when movie theaters open and when they start releasing films. Warner Brothers is still deciding about Tenet. They haven't decided for sure yet, I don't believe. They certainly haven't decided to push it, that's for sure. Yeah, but let's even see if they can have an Oscars. You know, that's a far enough away, though, that maybe, I think by then they should be able to all get in a room together. But what if they can't? That could be really weird. Barnaby, new member, says, is WandaVision complete or is that a rumor? That's a rumor. It might be a true rumor, but from what I've seen in the news, WandaVision was pretty much done, but it had a couple of pickups left to do, so it's not totally wrapped. Thomas said the Harley Quinn episode today was amazing. It really was. Today's episode of Harley Quinn was phenomenal, fantastic. Darren said, speaking of awards, how do you do red carpets? Well, you have to be invited by the publicists at the studio to come and be on the red carpet. I think they're going to redo red carpets because of what's going on. I think they'll have less people invited so they can social distance. Before, they would really crowd people in there, especially towards the end of the line. It got super crowded. The way it works is you have the big outlets up first, like television, like Entertainment Tonight, Access Hollywood. Hey, Ryan. Then next up you have like the bigger names. Like I would be in the second section, right? So the first part would be like the big television outlets. Then I would be in the middle with like, the people that the publicists knew of and had audiences, but weren't, Entertainment Tonight. So it would be like me, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, a couple other, like CBS Local News maybe would be next to me. And then after me would be print, and that would be people who just wanted a quote. When they say like, oh, what do you think of this? What are you doing with your free time? Those quotes, they get those on the red carpet. So that's the order of a red carpet. But I don't know if it's going to continue to be done that way because of what's happened with coronavirus. I think they might have to really limit who's on there. And I don't know if celebrities will want to stop and do those discussions. So we'll have to see what happens to the red carpet going forward. I have to tell you, the red carpet's been not as, celebrities don't like to do it. I think that you can really not ask great quality questions because they're in such a rush. I don't think if the red carpet were to die, to be honest with you, I don't think it would be a very bad thing. Yusuf, I don't know why Scoob has a lower Rotten Tomatoes score. It seems unfair. I believe that Scoob has a lower Rotten Tomatoes score because you have a lot of Scooby-Doo purists reviewing it who are like, it's not like the late 60s, early 70s animated series. And it's like, yeah, because it's not that time period. It just shows, I think a lot of times, with all due respect, I feel a lot of critics sometimes are not really thinking of the entertainment value of something. And they lean too heavily into the intellectual aspects of it. And I think that's not a good balance. Chris, there would still be red carpet fashion because you would still have your photo taken by the paparazzi, and they do the step and repeat. You would still have that. There just wouldn't be any interviews because they can put plexiglass or they can put the photographers far enough away because they can use a zoom lens. So you would still have that. Mika says, is Quibi a flop because of coronavirus? I don't think so. I think Quibi is just not a good business model. I don't think anybody felt Quibi would do well when it was even announced. Everyone was like, that doesn't seem like a good idea. And also I feel like their programming was it didn't have, basically it was, as people said, it's supposed to be YouTube for pay. And why would anybody pay for YouTube? YouTube is free. BJ says, what do you think the lasting effects on the industry will be when the virus ends, or is it under control? I think as soon as there is a treatment or a vaccine, everything will go right back to the way it was, which is why I think you're seeing people maybe not rushing to implement these new things. They're like, yeah, we could totally reimagine the movie set, but why should we? When maybe, the president says we're going to have a vaccine as early as the fall. I wouldn't trust what he says on that, but there are some pharmaceutical companies who are saying they might have something in September. So if they just can't shoot anything until January 2021, I think Hollywood would really rather take the loss than the extremely expensive, people are watching this stuff filmed from home. People are watching it. So it's like, why upend production and why spend all that extra money when, we would just all have to be scrapped anyway, maybe by January 2021. Giovanni says, do you need to study or take classes to become a critic? Well, they say everyone's a critic, right? But if you would like to be a professional critic and know your stuff, I think you do have to, it's called cinema studies. You should really go and you should study cinema studies to study the history of film and storytelling. And you really need, you need to know what you're talking about. Let's see here. The Geeky Gator says, what do you think the next billion-dollar movie will be? I don't think there will be a billion-dollar movie until there is either a vaccine or a cure, or a way to treat it, or it goes away. The Spanish flu, they never got a Spanish flu vaccine, and that went away after 2 years. So I think at that point you'll get billion-dollar pictures. Daniel says, Grace, do you think that Hollywood will continue to do more video call-based TV to keep content coming? Yeah, I think they will. Yeah, I think they'll have people shoot more stuff at home. Disney's been very effective with that, with their Disney music, sing-alongs. The late night shows are going along just fine. So yeah, I think that they can hobble along until they can't anymore. But I think that they're not at the end of their rope just yet. I want to go back here. Heather had an interesting question. Heather says, Grace, since Disney released $120 worth of masks and you spent $100, which ones did you not get? That's such a great question. I spent $100 as well, but not get the Star Wars masks. I got the Star Wars masks. I did not get the Disney Princess masks because I only liked one mask out of the package. So at that point, I'd already spent $100. So I was like, you don't need all of them, Grace. So it was hard for me not to get the whole set. I was like, should I just buy all of them? And then I was like, no, you have to have some self-control. So those are the ones I didn't get. Waffles, since the New York pause just got extended, are their fall movies in danger now as well? Maybe. I think it depends how quickly we go through our, we'll talk about movie theater occupancy on Sunday and movie math. But I think that movies are going to have to open. I think you're going to have a problem with spoilers, and I think that a lot of people will not be going to the theater even though they're playing there. I think that they have to see how these first movies do. And if how many people say they're not going to go, but are they really not going to go? So I think they have to really just get an idea for what's actually going to happen. Jonathan says, Furiosa prequel thoughts. No Charlize Theron. Yeah, they're saying it's going to be someone else. She's been posting a lot of photos the last 24 hours because of the anniversary of the release. I think it would be ridiculous for someone else to play that role, especially since she didn't get to totally put it all out there, so what she could do. So I think that's not good. The movie lover who works in a movie theater says Cineplex is getting ready for a July opening. That's great. Mika says, would you go to a screening room for press? Yes, it's my job to review movies. I have to work, so I would go to the screening rooms. However, I would not be able to eat any. Hey, Armando. I would not be able to eat any food at the theater. I've already decided that I will go, but I will wear a mask the whole time, and I will have to wear glasses because I usually wear contact lenses, and they say that coronavirus can get under the lens. It makes you more vulnerable, so I'll have to wear a special outfit to go review movies, and I'm sure they'll have to book a bunch of screens because they have to social distance us. James says, Grace, do you think that Wonder Woman 1984 will make its new release date? It might. At some point, these movies just can't be delayed that much longer. People lose interest. I think you've seen that happen to New Mutants. I think Wonder Woman cannot be delayed much longer. I think at the very least, they'll release the film 2 weeks, 3 weeks in theaters, a month at most, and then it will go to streaming. I think they'll shorten the theatrical window. That's right, Karen. I'll get a hazmat suit. I saw people going on airplanes in hazmat suits, and I was like, not ridiculous. MM Disney says, will The Little Mermaid resume soon in London? I don't think so. I think that they're going to wait on that. And Disney has other productions. Their Marvel movies are on hold. That's crazy. I have heard there's been some movement in pre-production that, some people are taking meetings and they're starting to prep films so they're ready to go. So that's good. I think you're going to see a flood of production as soon as the doors are open. Oh, Jared, I'm so glad that you watched Upload. Oh, you know where that hotel is? They also just had that hotel on Billions, too, the other day, which I thought was hilarious. The Geeky Gator says, how long do you think until Scoob is on HBO Max? Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe 2 months? They're going to want to get all their money out of it, so it's not going to go to HBO Max fast. Unless people aren't subscribing to HBO Max. Then they might be like, ruh-roh, and they might make it available under those circumstances. Sophia says, why can't companies self-isolate, quarantine entire crews? They could, but you still have to test everyone every day. You have to pay now medical staff to be on hand. You have to pay for all those hotels. Usually they save money by hiring a lot of local people for lower jobs. So they'll fly a cinematographer somewhere, something like that, but they have a lot of local people working otherwise. To have to pay for every single person who works on the production is more difficult. And they also still have to stay far away from each other while they're on set. And that's very hard to do. So again, I think they're like, I don't want to do it because it's just too much work. Tyler Perry's going to do that, but his stuff's always very cost effective to begin with. Lisa McPherson said, how are commercials getting filmed during this? That's a good question. Well, a lot of they're editing, other people's at-home content together. I've seen some very clever stuff like that. I think, a commercial can be done with a much smaller crew. I think there's less union rules than there are for a movie. Unions are a big deal. Unions make sure that a certain number of people have to be hired. They make sure that they keep people employed. Who can do what? That's why you don't see such a consolidation of jobs at the movie level that you do sometimes a little bit in television, like the news business. Although there are unions there as well. I think that I think that's what's going on with that. Sorry. Thomas says, do you like the Harley and Ivy relationship in season 2? Yeah, I think that they had their big kiss today, and I thought they actually got them there organically. Jonathan says, can New Mutants afford another delay, or will it go to video on demand? I don't think it will be delayed. I think that Disney Fox doesn't really care about New Mutants, as evidenced by how long it took for them to date it. I think they were considering, as I told you, a premium video on demand release. I think they're going to use it as a canary in the coal mine to see, and test it and see if they can get people to go out to see that film. And then it'll go, we'll see if the theatrical window gets shortened because of the circumstances. The Geeky Gator, that's a good comment. Antlers, Woman in the Window, still not dated. I don't know what's going to happen to those films. It's crazy that they're still not dated. To Movie Lover, I'm not sure about The Woman in the Window. I think that seems like a prime candidate for PVOD, but I think that Amy Adams will be like, what? That's not a PVOD movie. So that could be one of the things that's holding it up. But it's just crazy that it's not dated. Juan says, what's going to happen with the Emmys? A Zoom award? Will that work? Yeah, they can do it. They'll just have to get creative, and that's how they can partially sell the telecast. They'll be like, it's the Emmys from home, and they could do all that. They could do that. And then they could just, send people their Emmys. James says, what are your thoughts on the new Superman and Lois show on the CW? I need to see a trailer, but it looks kind of boring to me and not very exciting. I was like, Superman and Lois look kind of boring. I didn't like the poster that was released. That's funny, Nathan. I like calling it the Zoomies. That's really funny. If I were Emmy's producer, I would steal that. I'd be like, welcome to the Zoomies. Thomas says, are you more excited for Stranger Things Season 4 or The Witcher Season 2? Oh, that's a great question. Equally excited. I think those are both going to be great. Although, no, I'm excited about both of them. I think Stranger Things has the benefit of a little bit more mythology and better cliffhangers at the end of its last season. But I'm very excited to see what they do with the expanded world of The Witcher. Henry Cavill just don't get no respect. It's crazy. Ivan says, what is all this drama between Marvel Studios and Rob Liefeld over Deadpool? Rob Liefeld wants him to make another Deadpool movie, and it's not a priority for Kevin Feige. And I think Rob Liefeld is trying to push him to do it publicly. But Kevin Feige ain't going to fall for that, so they're just going to have to wait. It's especially fruitless to do it now because there's nothing that can be done. Chico says, do you think Mulan will be delayed again if Tenet chickens out? Considering the fact they were thinking of sending Mulan to streaming, I think if they have to delay Mulan, I think it would go to PVOD, Premium Video on Demand, to be honest with you. I mean, they just can't keep delaying these movies. Barbie says, why isn't Deadpool a priority? He's such a popular character. Well, what I've been hearing, and you've been hearing the same stuff, is that, Kevin Feige didn't come up with that. It's not his baby. Kevin Feige, he seems like a really nice, easygoing guy, and I'm sure he is when things are going his way, but he really has an iron fist. I mean, like he is very much in charge. I mean, look how he handles Amy Pascal and stuff. He's a tough guy. He has a tight grip around the MCU, which is why it's so successful. So I think he's not quite sure what to do with Deadpool. I think Ryan Reynolds is a big personality, and I think If anything, maybe he's just trying to like make it clear to Ryan Reynolds who's boss. They'll do something with Deadpool eventually, and I don't think it's going to be rated R. I think you're kidding yourself if you think it's going to be rated R. Connie says, but Kevin Feige also has a good eye for business. Shouldn't Deadpool be a great asset to him? He could make it his own. But can he? Because, how does he mix a rated R character with a PG-13 world? And Disney is, interested in how they can merchandise their stuff. And it's hard to merchandise an R-rated character. So that's why I'm sure he'll be PG-13. Maybe they're just making him sweat it out. So that when they say PG-13 Deadpool, he's like, okay, fine, just as long as I get something. Jonathan says, do you think Artemis Fowl will do much better on Disney Plus than in theaters? It depends if it's any good. I gotta tell you, I still don't think the trailer is very compelling. I still don't feel like it's like, I gotta watch that, I'll watch it to review it, obviously, for work. But I think, if I wasn't doing that, I still don't know if it would be my top priority for something to watch right away. Barnaby says, does this mean the end of Deadpool as we know it? I don't think so. I think Deadpool could very easily transition to PG-13. Just less swear words and less blood. I think it would be fine. Tanner says, what do you think will be the next Hanna-Barbera adaptation? Well, as I said in my review, they're doing a live-action Tom and Jerry, which just finished its production, so it finished filming, so now luckily they're in post. So that movie is moving along very quickly. I think that the next property, let's see how Scoob does. I'm disappointed in the reviews for it today. I think they're too aggressive. If it does well, if it makes a lot of money, I'd love to see them do the Flintstones or the Jetsons. I think that would be great. I'd like a live-action Jetsons, though, to be honest with you. We have 6 minutes left in the stream, everybody. Spencer says, what would you like to see added to the live-action Little Mermaid story-wise to make it good as it can be? I'd like to see Ariel a little less obsessed with Eric and humans and have a little more personal dignity. I mean, it was awesome that she fangirled out in the movie, right? But I think particularly because they've done the race bending of her character and they've kept Eric white, I think you have to be really careful about how you play that. So I'd love to see a little bit more. I'd like to see Ariel have a little bit more going on instead of just being obsessed with Eric and humans. Jonathan says, do you think Christopher Nolan peaked with The Dark Knight? No, I don't think so. I think Inception was a really big movie for him, and I'm interested in Tenet. I think Christopher Nolan, when he plays the blockbuster game, he does very, very well. But I think sometimes he gets a little bit too intellectual, too inside his own head, which his fans really love, and they encourage him to do that. But I think it limits his audience, and so I think he has to watch out for doing that. Like, let's see if Tenet is understandable. We still don't know what it's about, but it's only had one trailer. Barbie says, did you hear Halle Bailey's new song with her sister? I did. I was very happy that they trended last night. Good for them. I thought it was a little bit adult in terms of the content for playing Ariel the Little Mermaid. And if I were Disney, I'd be like, I don't know how I feel about this. But it's out there, and she's already been cast as Ariel, so they have to work with it. But I'd be like, could you please not do anything like that before the movie comes out? Mika says, is the Robert Pattinson backlash justified? I don't think so. I think, he is a thinner Batman. I don't think there's a problem with that. But it might be, I think that DC keeps playing with the characters and changing them and giving you a new version of something that nobody asked for a new version of. And then there are those of us who like that. But I think it's been, as I said in my video, it's become really clear at this point that most people don't like that. But yet Warner Brothers keeps doing it. So we'll see. I think this is very similar to the Jared Leto Joker situation. So I'm a little nervous about it. Roman, you just got here. We have 4 minutes to go. Scott says, Batman Beyond was skinnier. It can work. I totally agree. I think he looks great so far as Batman. David, I'm glad you're here. Lena, as I said before, I think Wonder Woman probably will open in August because it just can't get delayed anymore. I mean, we've been waiting for that movie for over a year. They've like made it twice with reshoots. I mean, just give me the movie already. Three minutes. Bryplot says, with streaming services becoming the go-to entertainment source, do you think forcing these companies to reveal ratings is the correct thing to do? Or that consumers should demand it? Well, consumers, they don't care what consumers feel. It's really going to be a thing where the unions will demand it because part of their payment is usually built in to the streaming success. So they're like, how do we tell if we need bonuses? So I think you might get to a point where agents and unions ask for it. But otherwise, you know, they don't have to reveal ratings. I mean, as long as they're making money, I don't know if they need to. Big Witch says, you still holding up during quarantine? It's tough. I'm not going to lie to you. It's really tough. But as I said the other day, I just have my new catchphrase, at least I'm not dead. But I'm getting really tired. My legs kind of cramped up the other day from not doing enough moving around. I'm real over being stuck in my apartment. But I don't want to be dead, so I'll just deal with it. The movie lover says if Scuba's a success, will Paramount move SpongeBob to PVOD? I think very likely. Although I told you, I thought Scoob looked great on the big screen. And here's the thing. I would love to see these movies on the big screen. And I have to, because if they start showing them on the big screen, they'll have critics go. Because they can't have us review movies and say, well, I didn't go to see it on a big screen, but you should, so I'll have to go to screenings. But it's like, as much as I would like to see these on the big screen, it's scary, you know, it's difficult. The risk. Samir says, theaters are open here in Hong Kong and some crazy people are going, but not a lot. But a fair amount. That's interesting, Samir. I'd be curious to know what a fair amount is. Mika says, is Florence Pugh the new Chloe Grace Moretz? That's actually a pretty darn good comparison, but I think Florence Pugh is a more talented actor. I think Chloe Grace Moretz was a fine actor, but never as good as Florence Pugh. Florence Pugh is a very good actor. Nacho says, Catwoman or Harley Quinn, Grace, you have to choose one. I'm going to choose Harley Quinn. She's so much fun. I really love Harley Quinn. Thomas, I like King Shark from Harley Quinn, and I like Dr. Psych. I like all the supporting characters. It's a great cast. I think I've even come to like Clayface. Aaron says, do you think they'll put the rest of the DC Universe shows on HBO Max? I do not, or they would have announced it already, because they could have really used the programming, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people would have signed up for HBO Max, more so if they had all the DC Universe shows on there. But they want people to still be on DC Universe, because they haven't closed that service down yet. It's crazy to me they didn't shut down DC Universe on May 26th and switch it over to HBO Max. That's what I would have done. So I think that DC Universe isn't long for this world, to be honest with you, but until it shuts down, its programming will obviously stay separate for some reason. Mika, the next watch-along is tomorrow with Scoob. Oh, it's 3:30. All right, I must go and edit my fun videos. All right, everybody, stay safe. As your countries and states begin to reopen, just be very careful. And remember, this isn't a flu. It's a blood clotting disease. And what it does is it creates lots of clots in your lungs, which makes it seem like it's the flu. But coronavirus is not the super flu. It's a blood clotting disease that causes strokes and all other problems. And so take it seriously, please. Wear a mask, social distance, and only go out when you have to. All right? Bye, everybody. Videos today and also video tomorrow. And then I'll see you tomorrow for the watch along at 3 o'clock.